That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 56 with Mike and Alex. Instant reaction to Nets Knicks. Game 3 of their series goes to Brooklyn. They get the win, a dramatic finish for the Nets. A lot to get into in this game. Hey, guys, don't forget you can also find this podcast on YouTube. So if you are listening to this, however you might do that, go ahead, type in Bad Weather Fans on YouTube, and you can watch the video version. Alex, how are you?
Mike, what's up? How are you?
I'm a weird
Better
game.
than me?
You probably, yeah, I mean, I am. Weird game for a lot of reasons. A lot happened in this game, I would say, that seemed like it had I don't know. For me, it had a weird vibe to it. To be perfectly honest, I thought this was a Nets L the whole time. It just had that feel, especially after James Harden went down. But let me start with this. We could everything I just saw on Twitter. It sounds like Harden is not bad, but there was like, why in the hell would they put him in?
Yeah, what are we doing?
There's no reason. Bigger picture stuff for them. There's no point of putting it in. But the thing that caught me off guard with this game was the lack of energy from the Knicks in the third quarter compared to the Nets, who clearly seemed like the hungrier team, and that was shocking considering what we saw in the first half.
Right. I kept tweeting that out. The Nets clearly wanted more. They were getting every loose ball. Alizé was getting the ball.
He was great.
Was getting the ball. Yeah, they were out hustling.
Joe Harris was in the paint getting the ball.
Right. Like they wanted it more. And it was just clear. I don't know what happened. That maybe the Knicks got gassed. I'm not going to give them excuses, but I just don't understand with this team. I mean, I guess they have nobody really inside that can like grab that board or get the loose ball or block that shot with Mitch out. You know what I mean? And they're relying too much on Taj Gibson. They're relying too much on Elfrid Payton as usual. Too much on Reggie Bullock has been a godsend this year, thankfully.
Hot in the first half.
Yeah, no. And I was saying also earlier on Twitter at Nick Central, if anybody wants to follow me, they were like, when Reggie Bullock is hitting his threes, the Knicks are one of them, like, are really, really, really tough team to beat. I won't say unbeatable because that's not true, but like they're a really, really tough team to beat if Reggie Bullock is hot, because that gives them that third option that they really, really need with RJ and Randall. So RJ's not consistent, but Randall is. It's just he's been like, this game was weird, man. weird game, Yeah,
it was
the French guy got in Randall's face and tried to draw.
Oh yeah, it's TLC Timothy Laurent Cabarrot. Everybody Nets Twitter, like if you were to go in Nets Twitter, they hate his guts. He is their least favorite Net. Oh,
he's their Elfrid Payton.
Like despised. Like ask Spen Harris, excuse me. He despises him. Like people despise, like they hate this guy. But with the injuries to Shamet and Tyler Johnson last night, that's why you saw him in the game today. He doesn't play, but that's kind of what it was. And so even Net fans would be like, Randall's going to kick his ass. Like, but I mean, I mean, I guess you'd like to see that at least he was feisty and hungry and angry from that perspective. Right. And he just missed so many shots. And then he got away with an offensive foul on the shot that he did make, the bank shot. I did think too, like the officiating was kind of wacky in this game. It was kind of all over the place. Just like not consistency, fouls, not fouls
on both sides. Yeah,
weird,
for sure.
Weird game on the foul side. And then you tweeted this, and this is so true. The jump ball rule has to change because there's like
on the challenge.
Excuse me. There comes a point where there's almost like, what's the point of challenging if it just gets you to a jump ball where you have like a mismatch? It's like you might as well just wait and actually save all of them for the very end of the game. Now I get if something's like a big three that goes in and you feel the momentum and you want to take those points off the board, but when points aren't even going on the board, it almost feels like pointless to challenge because of how stupid the rule is.
Right. Like the challenge we're talking about was Randall blocked who was it, Aldridge? Mm-hmm. And I thought they weren't going to overturn it after I saw the second replay where it looked like Randall had his forearm on Aldridge's hip, and usually they're going to call that. But they overturned it, surprisingly. But because of that, they did a jump ball. And it was just like, I hate that because the Knicks won the challenge. They should get the ball. Like, we won the challenge. So why isn't it our ball? Who recovered the ball?
I know. It's terrible. Well, it ended up hurting the Knicks because
a 3-point play.
It became a Jeff Green and one. So it ended up being screwing them. Lost your challenge for later, and then you ended
lost an extra point.
It was just stupid. And I've been texting you this like crazy over the last week. Jeff Green is good. I mean, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
I'm not a fill-in.
He he missed a lot of open threes tonight, but his defense on the post against Randall, his ability to get to the basket and just keep the ball moving. Jeff Green has been the biggest surprise to me as a Nets fan this year. I remember being disappointed that they were unable to sign Serge Ibaka, and then they settled on Jeff Green. Jeff Green's been great. He's been really good.
And how's Ibaka been? I haven't heard anything about him. I don't even know if he's been good at all. Ibaka hasn't been that good in years anyway. I mean, he won that championship with the Raptors, but he hasn't been Ibaka since the Thunder. Let's be real. But still, it sucks. This game sucked for the Knicks. I mean, it was just like we were cruising early, and I was watching the Mets game mostly because I'm like, all right, the Knicks are up big. Let's get the Mets on the big TV, and deGrom was mowing everybody down 99, 101 consistently. I don't even know if the game's over yet, but I'm getting a bunch of text messages, so it might be. But you got the score or something?
I have it on an iPad, and it's just far enough away where I can't see the score, but I don't want to watch it because I'll be honest, I'll be terrible on the podcast. When you're having a conversation with somebody and they say something and it's like they respond with yeah, sure. So
sure, right.
Which is fine in real life when nobody's listening. I mean, it's not fine, but I guess for entertainment value, I don't want to be a bad host. What were you talking about? You pulling up the score now because you're not listening.
I'm trying to. Yeah, no, I'm putting up. It looks like the Phillies have the bases loaded in the bottom of the eighth with one out. So that sucks. The Mets are up 2-0. So when you're listening to this, you can follow along as I watch Gamecast on my MLB app on my phone, which is incredible, by the way. MLB app is by far the best sports app out there. It's not even close.
Okay.
The highlights that are just like instant. It's just great for it's incredible. Every other app is just like tries to be like MLB, but they're not. I'll just put it that way.
Wow. Anyway. Can we try something here in the podcast? I didn't bring this up as an idea, but I have Nick questions for you, and then you can ask me net questions. Does that work for you?
That works.
So my Nick, I have a bunch of Nick questions. So
get some structure.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. I have things on my mind after watching that.
Go for it.
I'll start with the negative. Why no quickly?
What's the meaning of life? I have no idea. He plays like 12 or 13 minutes leading it to the last 2 minutes of the game. And and I don't understand. I just don't get it. Like I tweeted out sarcastically. I was like, what did I say? Something about Elfrid Payton. Oh, at least the Knicks are developing Elfrid Payton during these losses and not Emmanuel quickly.
Right.
And it's like, you can't be like and then some people like followers always respond and say things like, well, quickly has been trashed tonight. Like, okay, well, Elfrid Payton is trash 99% of 9 out of 10 games. Elfrid Payton is trash. Every now and then he's good. And it doesn't mean that they should keep force feeding Elfrid Payton. Just play quickly. Who cares? Like if this team is obviously not, they're obviously going downhill. They didn't make any additions at the trade deadline. They signed John Henson, which is a great 10-day contract, which he's probably going to stick. Pell is give me a break. But like they signed John Henson, like good job. He's a quality NBA player, quality NBA big, just as good as Taj Gibson, maybe better. I'm very happy with that. But they still needed to add a point guard. They didn't go out and get Lonzo. They didn't go out and get anybody like a JJ Redick, anybody. Those guys were there to be got, and they didn't go and get them. They didn't pull the trigger. And this is what they are. They decided they didn't care this season. They just don't care. Like they didn't care in the offseason. Then they got lucky. Randall took a step, and Barrett took a step. They didn't get lucky. Maybe they didn't get lucky.
That, right. That's part of the development plan. Yeah. So I wouldn't say lucky.
Lucky. Yeah, they could have made. That's what I was screaming about in the whole offseason, all 2 weeks of the offseason, this NBA offseason. Like, why aren't they doing anything? Like, do something. Give me something. Give me a pro NBA player here. Don't give me Alec Burks and Reggie Bullock. I mean, they've been good, but you can get them too. Like they got paid nothing. Like, what are we doing here?
All right, you're not going to want to see what happened with the Mets. It's going to
2-2, I see.
Yeah,
so I just saw the score.
That's falling apart.
Of course, deGrom's game gets blown. It gets no run support, and it's just
same old shit.
deGrom. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so that was the first one. The second observation is, RJ Barrett's gotten a lot better. His confidence. That's the thing that struck me is no hesitation, confidence, stroking the 3-point shot. You talked about his inconsistency. Tonight he was hitting it, and he had a couple of nice takes to the basket. I thought RJ Barrett looked like a different guy from when the Nets saw them at the Garden, which feels like an eternity ago.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, no, RJ Barrett is so patient. Like when he drives, he takes his time. He's like Curtis Martin, right? Like, you know what I mean? But like he'll just like take his time. He'll stop. He'll spin. He'll look. He'll keep his dribble, get in the lane,
Right.
and then take like a shot. And you just don't think it's going to go, and it goes. And he's just like never panics. He's 20 years old to have that kind of like mental capacity to not panic in under pressure in the paint with Kyrie Irving on him. You know what I mean? Like that's something you can't teach, man. You can't teach that. And that's what I'm really excited about with him. You know, hitting some big shots where we need that. And another thing that's frustrating, the Knicks never hit those big shots. They never hit the shot. It's down under 30 seconds, within 2-3 points either way. I can't think off the top of my head a big shot that they've hit this season. Besides that Randall one in the corner that bounced around. It was a lucky happy birthday
lost the
shot,
game anyway.
You know? And they lost the game anyway. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's getting frustrating. Like they're overplaying their players, and that's fine. You can overplay Randall. You can overplay RJ Barrett. They're built for it. That's fine. The people I have a problem with overplaying is Alfred Rose or Taj Gibson. Just like like, where are we going with this? You know what I mean? You're saying you're not really concerned about winning this season with the lack of moves in the offseason and at the trade deadline and with the buyout market. So why are you not going in and playing the younger guys if you really don't care about this season? It'd be nice to make the playoffs, sure, but you really don't care as an organization. You're showing that you didn't help your team out. So why aren't you playing these kids more?
Because Tibbs does care about the season. That's why he's playing the guys he thinks he can win with. I mean, that's his. I'm not saying you can disagree with his opinion or don't like his rotations, but in his mind, these guys give him the best chance to win. I think he's ready to win now, which I think you should. Of
course, any coach, would do that.
But from what my take was, quickly, good or bad, at least he gives you some spunk, some energy. But I guess he doesn't like that he can't. He can't distribute the ball, get them in the offense, get the pick and roll, get to the mismatch to get Randall on Kyrie, whatever it might be. I mean, that's where he feels safe, I think.
He's not a traditional point guard. He's not a He's not a two guard. People always say, "Oh, he's a two guard." Yeah, okay, but he might be, but he can play the point guard. He can be somebody like you don't need a traditional point guard. There's no such thing as a pass first point guard anymore. They're all scoring. They're all doing this. It's just like you can be like a Chauncey Billups, like, obviously it would dream for that to happen, but you know what I mean? Like somebody who's like not the pass first guy, is going to hit the big shot, can knock down the three, will play some defense. You know what I mean? You can do that. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it's just whatever. It's just it's forcing us Alfred Payton down our throat is getting kind of frustrating. You saw like Alfred Payton was guarding Kyrie down the stretch, and he's like, don't help, I got him. And then Kyrie's like, oh, okay, and just nailed the three right in his face like 5 seconds later.
The Tibbs is a brilliant coach. I mean, the plan he came up with at the end really frustrated Kyrie. He had the one pass that sailed way over the head of TLC or Jeff Green, I believe. In the postgame, Kyrie went on the Yes Network and he apologized to the fans for that pass because he realized, he's like, hey, my bad. That was a bad pass. And it made a difference on the stretch. Get the ball out of his hands. Some guys aren't as confident. We saw that happen. Joe Harris had the foul line shot, no good, but there was Uncle Jeff there again for the offensive rebound, out hustling the Knicks, and Jeff Green pulling in his 23. My final Knicks comment for you is I really am disappointed with Obi Toppin. I mean, he just looks lost. I know he had that one corner three, but he just looks like he's just lost out there. He doesn't look confident at all, and it shows. I think it really showed.
Well, the last two games, he's looked kind of good. I mean, to be honest, like he played well. He had that one putback dunk on Porzingis. That was great. And he had a couple of big shots, and the Pistons, he looked pretty good. He looked, and tonight he didn't look like he looked like, these last two games didn't happen. He's inconsistent. He's a rookie. It's going to happen, but it's getting a little scary. You know what I mean? But like he has shown positive signs recently. So I'm kind of okay with him right now. So he's not the right, I'll be okay with him for now.
Okay.
Give him some time.
All right. I just thought it was like
finally shown flashes. I'll put it that way.
All right. Those are my Knicks observations. Those struck me tonight. Those were what struck me.
So my question for you: we had a little a pre-podcast chat about TLC and Randall almost swinging at TLC, and you told me TLC is the hated guy in Nets Twitter. Is that that's a fact, huh? He's the Alfred Payton of Nets fans.
Yeah, people despise when he's on the court. He's missing shots left and right. They hate his defense. So yeah, he is numero uno, hated man number one on Nets Twitter at the very least. They do not like when he's in the game, but that's what happens. It meant next man up. You got injuries. Tyler Johnson's out. Landry Shamit's out.
Yeah.
That's the role he's going to take, and they don't feel as confident with Bruce Brown in the game because they want to spread the floor, and you got to at least respect TLC's 3. Bruce Brown's not a 3-point shooter. So that's kind of what happens on the offensive defensive switch. But yeah, TLC is despised by Nets fans, at least on the Twitter.
That's kind of funny. Like, you got such a super team, you still have somebody to hate on. So it just shows you that no matter how good your team is, you're going to always hate somebody.
But how good was Alize Johnson? Like, where is he? Like, he came from he's good. I mean, his energy and spunk and his ability
playing for his career, man. Yeah.
Holy crap. And Claxton brought great energy in the third quarter.
We're
watching the Mets. Your eyes went Mets. I know that was an I Met.
No.
That was an I Met. Don't mess with me.
It's 5-2 Phillies at the end of the 8th now.
They'll be fine.
I'm sure. The closer's coming in for the Phillies. So
yeah, now my phone's blowing up with Met fans. I know this one's
coming. Oh my God. Yeah.
Time to start drinking. Someone just texted me, so that's a Mets comment.
Was that Evan? No, I'm just
no. My friend Ray.
Oh God, what a mess. Anyway,
yes.
I don't know. It's just a weird situation. Have you seen any impact of Mike D'Antoni on this team, or is he just kind of there? Like, is there any offensive sets that he does? Like,
I don't think it's less
offense?
I think it's more of just getting Steve Nash comfortable and confident. Like a big talking point before this season started was about Steve Nash and can he coach this team? Like, will he just be a figurehead? I mean, I have to say he's improved as a coach. Now, granted, the Nets have a ton of talent. I mean, 1 through 12, they are a really deep team. I mean, you saw tonight with the Nets, they were missing their first and second best player. They were missing Blake. They were missing their 2 shooters off the bench. And this is not an excuse for the Nets because injuries are part of the season. But so I just want to say, like, you can see Nash developing and becoming a better coach. So to answer your question, I think D'Antoni has helped him behind the scenes. But as far as like sets and all of that kind of stuff, I would say I think it's a less of an impact and more just helping him get comfortable and confident as a first-year head coach.
Right. Yeah, like Steve Nash knows how to run an offense. You know what I mean? If there's anything that he knows, he knows how to run an offense. And D'Antoni's offense, for sure.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, he doesn't know. The Nets are obviously winning just because of Amari Stoudemire, though. That's the only reason that they're this good. Obviously. He's their assistant. He's the man, and that's what happened. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Nah,
it's fine.
It's just.
I'm glad these Knicks Net games are over. I really just don't like them. Yeah. I mean, they might not be over. They might happen.
Yeah.
But it was just like, they're just, I take them too seriously and I get too involved in it.
And it's a rivalry.
Okay, let's get into that. I'm glad you brought that up. So bring up your Twitter question.
Poll question early. We can do it early.
Yeah, but we don't have to read all the answers. Let's just kind of weave it into the conversation. So
we'll
read
do
the poll question and
later.
then we'll if there's ones you note that you think are good, bring them up. But I just want to have a conversation about this. So I'm glad you brought that up.
So we discussed this last time the Knicks played the Nets, and I got pretty mad because I'm like, after that the BS call, we're not going through it again, and it was just kind of like
it was the right call.
No, but it was kind of like one of those
in the minority on that one, man.
All the fans on both sides were into this game more than the random game. They're into it more than the random game. They're paying attention more. They care more. They're living and dying by every play like it's a playoff game. And if you say that you're not, then you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world. You might just be somebody like my dad who just likes watching the games. He doesn't pay attention to all the minutia and all the bullshit on the outside. He just likes turning the game on and watching the game. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's a rivalry. You know what I mean? It might not be the players hate each other, but players don't hate each other these days anyway. You know what I mean? No, it's not like it was in the 90s. Even in the 90s, they liked each other, but when you got on the court, it was war. Ewing and Jordan were best friends, but when they got on the court, they were wanting to kill each other. You know what I mean? They knew, shut it off on the court. This is it. And Jordan always won, which sucks.
Well, let me just,
so it's just.
Can I just chime in a quick second and then I'll stop? But like that one play where Kyrie fouled RJ Barrett and it looked like it was kind of a fight, and then they turned the camera and they're like giving each other like this Duke hug. I mean, it was a joke.
Kyrie's like, good job, young buck.
Right. It was a joke. They love each other. I mean, they're bad. Kyrie's like, you're really, after the game, I'm sure he's like, you're improving. Everything looks good. So anyway, sorry to interrupt your flow, but that kind of struck me.
Basketball's secondary for Kyrie. You know what I mean? He said it. Basketball's secondary. He doesn't.
Dude, could you imagine if it was primary for him? Oh my God.
Dude, If it was, he'd be one of the best point guards ever, which he already is. He would be like top. Like if he actually cared. If he actually cared.
But you see when he's on, I mean, he gives optimal effort. I mean, he really does. He's not on there lollygagging. Like he's giving everything he has on the court. But he really does.
After the game, does he really care? Like after the game,
I think he does. Oh yeah,
breaking down things.
I think he does. All right. From watching every game,
he said it. I'm using his words. Basketball is secondary.
I understand. Okay, that's true. But I could say, all right, Alex, you know what? This podcast is secondary to my family, and you would say what?
Okay.
I'm just saying, but it's just you can use words and spin it how it is.
I know.
Now, if I watched the games out there and he wasn't trying and he wasn't giving effort, then I'd be like, Kyrie, this is bullshit. But if he's gonna say one thing and do something else when he's on the court, I don't care.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were getting paid $100 million to do this podcast, would you care about it a little more? I mean, not more than your family, but like, would you care about it a little more? But like, put it.
And hire a babysitter, help out a little more. Yeah, you're probably fair.
Thank you.
I get that, but his actions on the court show that he's involved and cares.
No.
He's
he definitely cares.
He does not give a shit.
Mm-hmm. He definitely cares on the court. He doesn't care. He doesn't get mad. He stays cool, and that probably helps him in the games where he just where he doesn't care, so it brings him down like a notch. Not saying like he cares, but he's not like live or die for him. He's already won his title. He's got his money. He's living at home. You know what I mean? Like he's just in the team he wanted to play for.
He's a good life.
Great life. He wins the title with the Nets, then he can retire, and you wouldn't give a damn. Like that.
I won multiple titles, Alex.
I'll get one first. All
right, we're talking about the rivalry. Back to the rivalry.
Yes, we're talking about the rivalry. Sorry, we go on tangents often. No, but it is a rivalry. Like people stop acting like it's not. That's all I have to say. It's a rivalry, and it was like resounding no on the. Oh, I wasn't supposed to give the answer of the poll question. Whatever. But it was like it was a no, and it's like are you crazy? You know what I mean? Like it's a rivalry. Like it's not the Knicks and Bulls. It's not the Knicks and Pacers. It's not the Knicks and Heat. It's not the Nets and Celtics. It's not that, but it's like, come on. Like, they don't like each other. And you can tell. And the players get up to play these games. They care more about this game than they do against the Pistons. Like, just be honest. Like, and people are saying, like, oh, it's the Heat. It's not the Heat. I hate the Heat, Pacers, and Bulls. I'm like, yeah, well, they had one playoff series against those teams in the last 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, I don't have that hate that I used to have growing up for the Heat, Pacers, and Bulls. You know what I mean? I just don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Like I dislike them, of course, but I'm not. It's not a passion. It's not like how I hate the Patriots. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that.
I mean, you can't look at the Bulls team now and be like, "Oh man, I really hate the Bulls." It's a shell of what it was. I mean,
right? Oh my God, I can't believe they got Vucevic. Oh my God, what a mess!
Well, I wonder why. I do think it's because, well, first off, I think there is I think we've talked about this before. I think if you admit that there's a rivalry, you admit that the Nets have taken a little bit of your space in your head.
Right.
Now, like I'm fully capable of admitting I hate the Knicks. They totally have space in my head. They totally have more space than the Bulls do, than the Magic do, than the Pistons do, whatever. Yeah, they have space in my head. Just like as a Mets fan, you dislike the Phillies. They have space in your head. I'm not saying they, it's all consuming life, but the Mets lose to the Phillies or the Braves, that probably stings a little more than if they were, let's say, go ahead and lose to the Twins in an interleague game. I mean, it just does. But
but it's not like how it was. The Mets and Phillies is not like how it was in 06, 07, 08, where I hated the Phillies. Right now, it's not the same because it's been so long. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I still hate them and dislike them, but it's not that the passion of the rivalry was then. You know what I mean?
What's it going to take for the Knicks? What's it going to take for the Knicks fan? And I speak broadly because your poll question shows that answer, for them to admit that it is.
I don't know, man.
Because
I think there's a lot of it took me a while, but I admitted that I hate the Nets. It took me a while, but I admitted because I'm trying to be real with myself. And yes, I hate them. Who cares? If I say I hate them, who cares? Yeah, I thought they were relevant.
The hate
for a
in
while,
sports.
And they were.
Hate in sports, not like real hate.
Exactly. Exactly. Who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to lose. I want them to lose every game. I want them to feel pain, especially this year. You know what I mean? So like I put for the question was yes, no, and to be determined for is there a rivalry between the Knicks and the Nets? Yes was 30%, no was 50.9%, and to be determined was 18.7%. So it's kind of weird, man. I just don't understand. Like, why is it so hard to admit? And I call it the rivalry police. You know what I mean?
I saw that.
It's just like, it's not a rivalry because we have to do this. Like, who cares,
right.
man?
Well,
like,
this is the big one.
Rivalry.
This is the big one this is the big one that the rivalry police come with. And I apologize to all the tweets that said this because I know they're there. I know you're listening to this going, I said that. I said that.
It's probably Leo Valentin.
Probably. It's not a rivalry until you see each other in the playoffs. Then it becomes a rivalry. I think that helps, of course. I think if the Nets and Knicks saw each other in the first round this year, that would help develop the rivalry. But there's other things that can come into pissing off the other team. And there's other things that can make it a rivalry. That's not the only one. And I do think there is a difference when two teams play within a couple of miles from each other that changes the dynamic of the whole relationship. This is different than a team that's in the same division, but let's say they're in two different cities. These teams are in the same city. And I've seen it where the Net fan is annoying the Knick fan. They're teasing him and they're just kind of like constantly there and annoying him, and then the Knick fan gets back at it like, this is our town, stop with this, I don't care how many wins you have. I've never even met a real New Jersey Nets fan. I've never met a real Nets fan. All of the stuff. So I think that's built it up and it's made it what it's become. Now, I'm not like you said before, this is not Knicks Heat with Jeff Van Gundy going for a ride on Alonzo Mourning's leg or whatever. But you can feel it starting to bubble. And I do think, though, to play it back to the original part of what I put down, I do think if the Nets and Knicks played each other in the playoffs, that it would start to enhance the rivalry even more. But this is to the Knicks fan listening right now. Don't then, if the Nets were like to say beat the Knicks in a playoff series, don't downplay it and be like, well, they got a super team. It's not a rivalry. It's always going to be an excuse. Like if the Knicks beat the Nets, I would say, hey, yeah, that's a rivalry. Like, I just don't find excuses for everything. You can always find an excuse. It's the playoffs, but they played each other. They played each other in this game. But these last two games have been super heated. Randall with the chair. This game, Randall with the miss at the end. I mean, both of these games have been, highly entertaining basketball games too.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. And let me ask you something. Do you think the Mets and the Yankees have a rivalry?
Sure.
But they don't even play in the same division. But they're rivals, right? They
their
played
fans
in the World
hate each
Series
other
once. Yeah, and that's all that matters. And honestly, there should be more of a rivalry with the Knicks and the Nets because they're in the same division, in the same conference, and they should be the Mets and the Yankees who play one series a year, and everybody comes out and goes to the games and barbecues and go with your friend that's a Yankee fan to the same game, and it's all fun and games, and that's great. But that series is one like what do they play 2-2 now or 3-3 now, and both cities, in both states, whatever it is. Who knows? What they keep changing baseball crap. So it's just like. That's a rivalry to you. And, the Rangers and Islanders haven't played each other. The hockey reference, Rangers and Islanders haven't played each other in the playoffs in forever.
They hate each other.
People consider that a rivalry, and they hate each other. You know what I mean? Like the Knicks and the Nets have played in the playoffs a few times, right? Like in the Kid era, they played in the playoffs.
The first round,
Anderson era, they played in the playoffs. I think even Bernard King, did they play in the playoffs? I don't know.
I can think of those two. Those two. The Knicks won the one in the 90s when the Knicks were the Knicks. And then the Nets won. Sorry to say it like that. And then the Nets.
No, I know what you mean.
But I mean, it was like and then the Nets swept the Knicks in 2004 in that first round series. It would have been 4 games in the first round. I think that was a 2-7 also maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's just to act like it's just I don't understand the point of not caring, like of not admitting it. Like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand. Like, I just don't. I can't find it. It's not easy to find as you're talking, but it's just, I don't understand the point of not being able to admit that it's a rivalry or that you need specific examples of it, because this is all subjective, right? It's a subjective term. Like, is Mitchell Robinson injury prone? It's a subjective, opinionated term. And it's just that this is so blatantly obvious that this is a rivalry to me that people who don't want to admit it are just not being real with themselves, that they don't understand. Like, oh, who cares about the Nets? I don't pay attention. Yeah, you do. Like, you see everything, man. It's on ESPN 24/7. You turn it on. Hey, well, the Nets do with oh, can you believe the Nets did this and the Knicks suck? You know what I mean? Like, everybody, I see it with fans on Twitter all the time, and they're always complaining about it, like myself. But I can admit it.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
No, good for you.
It is what it is. Like, I grew up. I was just like, all right, well, you know what? I like I hated the Nets when they came to Brooklyn and they were talking all that shit. We've been through this, and then like they were dead team for a couple of years, and it wasn't. I just kind of felt bad. Like I'm not even saying that in a bad way. I just kind of felt bad. I'm like,
no, they were in a tough spot.
Just like what are they? And then now like they come up and coming, and then they get overblown in 2019, and they get the superstars, and then it's just like fuck them. Like you know what I mean? Like that's just how I feel, and it's just like. How can I be, like, I don't know, man. How can you not admit it is my question. And, there's some responses.
Yeah, let's hear the responses. I want to hear the responses.
Let's see if I could read some. Okay, so we have our boy Bobo Anderson. He's at Ann Freilich. He goes, I voted no only because they were never good at the same time except for 2013. But it is a geographical rivalry, so that's a good.
Yeah.
Our boy Bobby B at Rude Boy NYK. He goes, yes, I hate this team. Definitely the most irritating since the day they moved into town with that cheap Brooklyn gimmick. They've been coming at us, trolling us, talking about taking over, and going out of their way to upstage us. I hate them even more now than the Heat now. That is exactly how I feel about it. That's my boy.
Soulmate.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can find one that disagrees. Mookie. He's at It's Mookie. They ain't shit. That's a good one. Okay, so here's one. Marty Bird. He, obviously a big fan of the show. What's it called? Marty Bird show. What the hell? Netflix. Come on.
Nothing. Leaving you hanging. I just watched basketball. Alex.
Were they embezzle money?
Ozark.
It's Ozark. Thank you.
I haven't even seen it.
We have.
Net fan knowledge here. Let's go.
There you go. So he's at Jaws Thoughts. He goes, Nets are competing for a championship, and we're rebuilding, so there's no on-court rivalry. And in New York media coverage, the Knicks still reign supreme. You see, like that is like the kind of thing that makes you mad. Like that is the kind of comment that is just like, come on, dude. Like, okay, like but it's still a rivalry. You care, like you obviously care.
Well, because there's the little dig. Like it's not a rivalry, and just want you to know, the Knicks are always on the back page, not your team. I mean, because it's like if you didn't care, you wouldn't bring it up.
Right. You wouldn't even respond to the question.
Right.
You'd just be like, what is this bullshit? Yeah, exactly.
Like here we go. That's that whole like the back page of a newspaper. Like that's like the most talked about with a newspaper I think I've heard. It's like, oh my God, you're on the back page of the newspaper. The excitement level for that. Oh my goodness. Well, here, ready for this? The Knicks will be on the back. Well, actually, they won't be. It'll probably be the Mets blowing the game.
Yeah, Mets will blow it. Yeah.
The Knicks will not
first and third, 2 outs. And I guess they lost because my friend just texted me as I was looking at it at the game summary. He goes, "Damn it, Pete gave it a ride." So I guess they lost.
Yeah, I'm behind. I'm about to watch the Alonzo, whatever that is.
Whatever.
Fly out.
So
anyway,
I know people.
But that'll be on the back page tomorrow. It'll be the Mets losing, Yankees winning.
Mets blow another DeGrom gem. They're going to talk about how DeGrom never gets any run support, and it's going to be the same thing over and over. Anyway, so
rinse, repeat.
New Year, same story. How about that? That's the headline. You want to guess the headline tomorrow?
DeGrom,
New Year, same story.
You really just missed that. Sorry, I just saw it.
The wind was been crazy. The wind was crazy in Philly tonight, man. Like it was blowing out to the right. So they hit it to left field.
It went to right field, and I've got my iPad on in the distance, but it's on like 10 or 20% battery. So when your iPhone or iPad loses. So when the ball's in the air, I don't know exactly how deep it went because there's a white box that hovered it, but it looked like
low power mode.
Yeah, exactly. But it looks like I'm not going over there to hit it. It looks like he drove it to the wall, though, if I had to guess.
Oh, that sucks. Well, Mets are 0-1. They're done. Season
hey,
over.
You know what? Every year the Mets win the first game of the season. Maybe this is a good sign that they lost and they're 0-1. Remember that?
Thinker. There you go. That's true.
That fan
maybe
they.
That's very true. That's a very positive spin. So these two guys are our boys. Leo Valentin, he was on the show, and Aram. He's at Aram at Aram822. They're both good followers of the show, and obviously Lee was on the show. So he goes, not yet. Rivalries are born when you have meaningful playoff games with memorable moments. Unfortunately, both teams haven't been good at the same time, but it will be good for New York City when they are. And then Aram responds, the only rivalry, in quotes, was created because Nets and their fans want to beat the Knicks so bad and, quote unquote, run New York that it was created into one. At this current time, we are on 2 different stratospheres. They've built a win now super team, and we are building through the draft. We're finally doing it right for once, and they did what they had to do to try to get that chip. It's something the NBA has been doing for years, so at this point, it doesn't even matter. So I just wrote, you guys are the rivalry police.
There was some right in there. There was some stuff that was right in there.
Yeah, but just admit it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
So maybe
At least
it's
said it on
not
the show. Props to him. When he was on the show, he's like, no, I don't even care. And he said it with a straight face. So like, it's not like he's some Twitter troll, like doesn't know what he's talking about kind of thing.
Could it not be a rivalry, but you still dislike the other team? Is that a thing?
Isn't that a wrong? I mean, see, this
I don't
is
know.
the subjective,
I'm asking
nature.
you.
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Because I think these guys dislike the Nets, but if I'm trying to figure out what that term is. Is a rival like you just can't get it all the way out there? Like what is it?
Well, it's like we used to hate the Heat, right? Everybody hated the Heat, the big three Heat, right? And the Knicks lost to them in the playoffs a couple times, during that run, or maybe once. I don't know if it was twice, maybe once. Yeah, once was the Celtics, once was the Heat, I think, off the top of my head. Who knows? So they lost to the Heat in the playoffs. There's a rivalry. So and we hated them. So is that a rivalry because they lost in the playoffs? Are they more of a rival than the Nets are right now with the Knicks? No, because there was no competition between that big three and the Knicks. There was just like, all right, well, we're here. We're happy to be here. We got Melo. We got to the playoffs. All right, let's win our first playoff game in 100 years, and celebrate with the balloons coming down from the ceiling, and let's go. And let's keep going. Let's keep adding pieces. This is the first of many years that we hope, and it turned out to be 3. Yeah. So that's not a rivalry, but that follows the specific nature of some of these fans tweeting saying it's a rivalry if you have a playoff game, a playoff series. You know what I mean? And like. That's just what's so weird. But I guess, people think it's like, to their defense, people think it's got to be evenly matched. And some teams win, some teams lose, some teams this. Mm-hmm. Like some people would say the Knicks and the Bulls were in a rivalry from the 90s because the Bulls always won, besides when Jordan retired, which people act like didn't happen. You know what I mean? So, which is, it's all subjective. It's just sports talk, fodder, barbershop talk, or water cooler talk. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just whatever.
What about why?
Screw everybody.
What a weird. But I was thankful for the shot from Randall at the end of the game because I'm standing there with my wife and I'm like they're gonna take a 3 here and this is it. Like the fact that he didn't drive to the paint, but he took like that 18-footer. I was like, I'll live with whatever the hell happens right now. If it goes to overtime,
didn't understand that.
Thank God, I was not in the mood for a Bullock 3 to crush the Nets' dreams there and have to come on here and do the podcast after that would have been miserable. So I was like, at least it was like, oh my God, I swear a 3 was coming.
Right. And at Knicks Express tweeted this to me before. And he goes, if you're going to take a long 2, you might as well just pull up for the win. Like, and he's right. Just pull up for the 3. Like if you're going to take an 18 to 20 footer, just shoot the 3. Like, you know what I mean? Let's see what happens. It's just another clutch moment that the Knicks didn't come through. And that's why they're a 500 team, because they didn't add talent and they can't hit the big shots. It's what the NBA is when you're in the middle of the pack. You got to make those plays. And the good teams do.
I want to bring up the standings too. Hopefully it's updated itself here on the CBS Sports app, but I don't even have any idea. I'm just kind of looking at so the Knicks are 25 and 26.
Mm-hmm. I think
so they updated it. Right now they'd be the 8 seed playing the Nets in the first round. I'm telling you, these two are going
to play-in tournament. So we had the play-in tournament.
I gotcha. But see, that's the Bulls will be
fun. We wanted
the
6 seed, and we were there. They were there for the 6 seed, and I mean, there's a lot of teams in the East that are around 500.
They're a game and a half back of the 4, Alex. It's just all
together. Win 3 games in a row, and you're at the 4 seed, easy. Like the
Raptors,
Hawks
4.5
for so long, won 8 in a row.
Raptors the 11, 4.5 back.
Oh, man,
that was my first dick comment.
And the Raptors are didn't they trade everybody, or did they trade? They ended up trading Lowry, right? So he's gone.
No, they didn't trade Lowry.
I thought they traded him. Oh, he was about to get traded.
They dealt Norman Powell to Portland, I believe.
Norman Powell. Okay.
Yeah, they kept Lowry, and then maybe you're thinking of Oladipo getting shipped to Miami.
Maybe. I just thought he was getting traded. I thought he got traded because I don't know. I'm not paying attention to the Raptors. But the Tampa Raptors, which is so weird.
Yeah, I know. This is bizarre.
It's probably why they didn't trade Lowry. They're probably like, this season sucks anyway. Let's just get out of Tampa and get back to Canada, But
they're only a game back of the Bulls. They're only a game back of the Bulls for the play-in tournament.
Mm.
I'm excited for that.
But the Bulls are coming. The Bulls are coming. The Bulls got Vucevic. They're coming. They got some guys now. They actually tried to win. What a freaking concept! They tried. They gave up a lot, but and they had to go. They can't tread water anymore. You know what I mean? They had to at least they owed it to their fans to try. You know what I mean? The Knicks aren't there yet. They had to trade a bunch of picks for a fringe all-star, but still. I mean, he can't be a fringe all-star anymore. He's been an all-star multiple times now, Vucevic, and he should have been a couple times before that.
Guy kills the Nets.
Yeah. He's crazy because he's one of those guys like Brook Lopez that was a center that developed a three.
He's way better than Brook. He's way better than Brook.
Oh no, he is. I'm just saying the concept of like the low block center that all of a sudden can bang a three. You know what I mean? Where'd that come from?
That's crazy.
But
no, he's got a great touch. He can rebound. He can defend. He can block shots. You know, him paired with Zach LaVine. They've got a nice 1-2 punch there. It's a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. They're solid. And Chicago beat the Nets on Sunday. I saw it firsthand.
So you want to talk about Darnold? How about that?
Yeah, well, real quick though, you said there was a Nets Knicks trivia you wanted to give to me.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here we go.
It was on the Knicks broadcast.
From the Knicks broadcast. So, which player who played for both the Knicks and the Nets had the most combined career points between the two franchises?
You mean like just scored the most from each side? Like explain the question again to me.
I'll read it one more time and then I'll try to explain. Which player who played for both the Knicks and the Nets had the most combined career points between the two franchises?
So it's not
the total points between the two.
So it's not Buck Williams because that would be the obvious answer.
That is Buck Williams. You're right. That's correct.
It is Buck.
Yeah, but that threw me off, dude. I didn't think it was Buck Williams. I thought like Marbury. I thought Bernard King. I'm like going like, is it Van Horn? I was just like thinking.
Gotcha.
Because I probably just didn't really totally understand the question at first either. You know what I mean? Because I was just kind of like Buck Williams because he had a cup of coffee with the Knicks. He's on the Knicks for like 2 years or something. Like he wasn't that great. You know what I mean? But I didn't know he's that big of a scorer either with the Nets. Was he that good of a scorer?
Well, I mean. I don't know enough about the details, but I mean, good enough. Yeah, he was one of the all-time Nets of all time. So it just kind of puts it together with that. You know what I thought this is if you said it wasn't Buck, I had a reserved answer that I was going to go with. I was going to say Chris Childs.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, but he wasn't on the Nets for that long.
I don't know, but it just felt right to me. Like Chris Childs is
like
all right.
The guy.
There it is.
Got it. Well, you said not Buck Williams, so you didn't get it right technically. You said it's not Buck Williams.
Fine. Buck. If I didn't get it right. Yes. Fair enough. All right. So Sam Darnold.
I was surprised.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought it was Marbury or Bernard King. I was surprised.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so Sam Darnold's traded to the Carolina Panthers for 2021 6th round pick. So a 6th round pick this year and a 2nd and a 4 next year. And it turns out that the Panthers were the only team that really wanted him. And the Jets leaked out earlier this week, it's Monday, a little late last week, that they're okay with keeping Darnold and drafting Wilson and just being like, whatever, let's just keep both. And so then I think that pushed the Panthers to the brink and they said, fine. And then the Jets were able to get the Knicks. The Jets were able to get the 2nd round pick that they really wanted for him. I know it's next year, but they can always deal it for this year or just keep it. Still a premium pick for a depreciated asset, and it's a fancy way of saying the guy stinks, and now they got a 2nd round pick for him. So out of hope, So
just
I feel bad for him.
I mean, it was. I think for the Jet perspective, it was the right thing to do to move on and just establish a new team identity. I know a lot of it isn't, on a lot of it's on Sam, and a lot of it is not on Sam. I mean, he really was put in just a terrible position with Gabe. Right. That thing was just an utter disaster, and he could go somewhere else and be fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't be stunned at all if that happens. Obviously, a lot of talent coming out of college, and people thought he was going to be the guy, and it just didn't work out for the Jets and him. So I think it's just the right move to move on. And if he's good somewhere else, if he's good in Carolina or whatever, you just have to say that it is what it is, and not right. At least he's going to a team that's like we talk about rivalries. I don't think the Jets and Panthers really have anything. I mean, he's all the way in the NFC South, and it's nothing to do anything really with anything close to the Jets. So it is what it is. And then you just have to hope, every 4 years you spin the wheel that this one hits, Zach Wilson, right? I mean, I know, you just see what happens. I mean, you just every 4 years spin the wheel. Here we go.
Well, it's Wilson or Justin Fields now. And it looks like they love Wilson because all of them showed up, like LaFleur. I think he's the offense coordinator now. At the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank. Salah and Joe Douglas all showed up to his pro day, and so once that happens, and that's their guy. You know what I mean? Like you're not taking a trip during COVID for a pro day. If this is not your number one choice. And then apparently he crushed it on his pro day, made some throws that like that look like Mahomes, which of course is down. Now, look, he's the next Mahomes. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, just relax. But I'm burnt out with the Jets, man. It's been 10 years, and it's another quarterback. It's just like,
here you go again.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's different this time, quote unquote. And like, I want to be positive, and I'm going to root for it, of course. But this is a rookie quarterback, a defensive coach, head coach and GM not on the same track. What is different about this than the other times over the last 10 years? What the hell is the difference? It's the same thing. Oh, but this is the number. This is Zach Wilson, and you never know. And he's a better prospect than Darnold. When Darnold came out, we're like, this is the greatest guy ever, until the last few weeks before the draft, when Baker Mayfield just all of a sudden overtook him for the Browns. He was the number one pick for like 2 years. He was going to be the number one pick. Then all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, it was Baker Mayfield. It was like, what?
Yeah.
And that turned out to be the right pick for the Browns. They also added weapons around them. What a weird freaking concept.
Sure.
So, I'm just burnt out. I can't allow myself to get excited yet. They have so many picks over the next 2 years. That's great. They have the cap space. That's great. Even though NFL cap space is just so subjective, you could just restructure anybody if you really want somebody.
Right. Very different world.
And it's just, it's not a hard. Is it a hard cap or whatever it is? It's not like the NBA where it's just strict, and it's not like the baseball where you have the luxury tax where everybody wants to stay under it. So
it's just different that you can cut people, and there's
not guaranteed
dead cap, but there's ways that you can maneuver and get out of contracts and change things. Like, you couldn't just cut Kyrie Irving; you'd be owed the full amount of salary. In the NFL, there'd be an amount that you would owe, but you could get away with it if the contract was structured properly. You can save money, and they're not guaranteed contracts, which changes everything.
Right. And they have outs in different contracts where after year 2, you can save money on this and that and cut them at this time. And that's why everybody gets cut all the time. So that's why NFL contracts are BS. It was signed for $150 million.
No. What's the guarantee? What's the guarantee?
Yeah, that's always it. Yeah. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm just frustrated with the Jets because it's just like, it's another thing. It's if you look at it like just from like an alien coming down, like, what the hell is the difference between this and the other times?
No.
Sure, this looks a lot. This feels a little different. Sure, but I also got excited about the last time. But
of course,
with Darnold, with Geno Smith, with the 1 year, like I always talk about this, the 1 year that over the last 10 years that they actually tried to win, the 1 year that they went in, they signed Decker, they signed Brandon Marshall. I mean, Decker was the year before, but they signed Marshall. They paid guys. Was 2015, and they went 10-6 and blew it in Buffalo in week 17. Like, just try to win. Maybe you might win. Like, I'm saying, like, yeah, you want to build for the sustained success, et cetera, but the Jets didn't sign any big offensive linemen this offseason. The Jets didn't, just like so many things that, like, they added some, good pass rusher with Lawson, sure, but like, I don't know. Like, they have to hit on these draft picks. They're putting themselves in a position where it's like, we got to hit on these draft picks. Maybe we will sign somebody next year. It's like, okay, so we're punting on another freaking season.
I think
you know what I mean? I'm over it, man. I'm just over it.
I mean, if it works out right, it's the Buffalo Bills model. You hired a good coach in McDermott who knows what he's doing. You drafted a quarterback in Allen, who this year went from he could be good to, okay, this is our guy that we're going to have for the next 10 years. And then, like, you add a Diggs at the wide receiver spot when it all comes together at the right time. So I think that's kind of the perspective that the Jets are going for. Now, does it work? Who the hell knows? Do these picks pan out? It'll take time, but they at least have put themselves in a position where they have the assets, they have the picks, and now they just have to hit on them. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious stuff. They got to draft right, and they got to coach, and they got to get the good coach, and then they have to we'll see if the coach is good, and then they have to hit on the quarterback. And I will say this, if they go with Wilson, he was a DoorDash driver last summer, Alex. So there's some positivity there. Like, from my scouting report, when I see that your potential number 2 quarterback in the NFL draft was a DoorDash driver, I'm all in on this guy. I love him.
That's your guy. That's your guy, man. That's it. That's it. Nothing else matters. So
that's it. Yeah, he can deliver cheeseburgers in the summer. In Utah.
That's great. I mean, it's just like I said, I'm burnt out, but I'm trying to get excited because what's the point of being a fan if you're not going to get excited about your team at least a little bit and have some hope? But I'm just like, 10 years is my limit. That's 10 years is the limit I have. You know what I mean? Growing up, the Jets were terrible until 97, 98. And, they were good for about 10, 12 years after that, 13 years, whatever it was. But now it's been those Rex Ryan AFC Championship games were a while ago now. If you think about where you were in 2011,
No, that Jets stretch isn't terrible if you go back to the one you just referenced. Like, I know everybody talks about how bad the Jets have been, but there was a decent stretch. I'm not saying they were the Patriots a lot of that was better than the Giants stretch. The difference is the Giants just have the 2 Super Bowls and they completed the deal and won them, which obviously is all that really matters when it's all said and done.
Of course.
But I think just because the last couple of years as Bulls transitioned to Gase, that kind of merging at the end of Bulls to Gase has just been so bad. I mean, it's been next level bad.
Yeah, it's just I can't get sold the hope again. And my buddy Corey, he always texts me. He's like, no, but you got to see and this and that. And it's just I can't do it this year, man. Like I was so focused on Deshaun Watson. I'm like Deshaun Watson. And then all this stuff came out, and now it's like you might even get cut. You can't trade for the guy now, even if he's innocent. You just can't do it. And it just sucks because that was the guy. That was the move. We had the picks. Let's go get the quarterback. Let's add some receivers. We got the cap space. Let's go. And I could wrap my head around that and get excited. Now it's like, okay, now we have a new rookie quarterback. Let's give him time. Sure, he threw 5 picks in his game, but he's a rookie. Let's give him 3 years. You never know what's going to happen. Let's let's draft a tight end in the 4th round. Let's get some offensive linemen. We'll see if they're good. And it's just like, but give him time. And it's just, I'm just like,
well, think about what the Jets and the quarterback from Trevor Lawrence trying to tank for him. And then, okay, Deshaun Watson is available. He's going to be dealt. The Jets have the most assets we know what happened with Deshaun Watson to now like, all right, we'll take a flyer on let's fingers crossed. I mean, and you'll hear everything from this guy's great to this guy's terrible, and don't read too much into that from all of the analysts, because if you look at their track record, and this is their job, so they have to do it, but don't think it's gospel. If one guy's like, this is the best guy ever, this is the worst guy ever, they don't know. They don't know. It's guesswork for them too. He could end up being awesome. He could be terrible. Just have to find out.
Right. And there's also the I love with draft time. Oh, he has great value at pick 10. Based on the 70 mocks I've been reading over the last year. Like, how do you know? You know what I mean? It's just like oh, they went down. For Daniel Jones is the biggest example recently.
I hate that.
Everybody freaked out, and I laughed. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that because they had Eli, and I like, what is their plan? You know what I mean? But it was just like, and they quote unquote reached for him. But like Evan Roberts used to say on the fan all the time, he's like, if that's your guy, just go get him. Like, don't blink it. Just get your guy. You know what I mean? But it was odd how they did it, but whatever.
Well, that's the point to it. It's like, if it's all said and done and Daniel Jones is great and he becomes their franchise quarterback, does it matter if he was 5 or 15? No one remembers. There's too much overanalyzation of that stuff, of when they got him. If he's good, he's good. If he sucked at 15 or he sucked at 5, it's like, okay, I guess it was 10 picks later, but you're still fucked.
No matter what.
You're still screwed. Sorry for my language. Yeah. The team still sucks. Like, he's got to be good. He's got to be good. And then let's just be honest, because every Giant fan, oh my God, you took Daniel Jones when Dwayne Haskins was available. I mean, you could say what you want about Daniel Jones. Dwayne Haskins was released. He couldn't even stay with a putrid franchise. So, I mean, come on.
And
you guys know Dwayne Haskins, the guy. Giants made a mistake. Did they? I'm not saying we don't know yet about Daniel Jones, but I feel a whole lot better about Daniel Jones than I do about Dwayne Haskins. Give me a break.
Yeah. And who was the other guy that they passed up on, the defensive end? The Jaguars ended up taking him. That's what they thought.
But that's a whole different conversation. If you think you should go in that direction, fine. You want to, a franchise.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, you want a franchise-changing defensive end. Sure. Don't give me this.
Yeah, but
Dwayne Haskins. You don't know Dwayne Haskins could be better. How do you know?
Right. It's just stupid. The whole thing is just completely stupid. That's all I have to say. It's just like one of those things that the draft. It's like. So that's what I was laughing about this season when we were talking about it. Remember the Raiders game, and we had Moten on. We were talking about it recently, for Bleacher Report. But like during the season, the Jets like lose to the Raiders in like historic fashion, and what's his name? Greg Williams is fired like 2 days later for throwing the last play pretty much and blitzing on a Hail Mary. And every Jets fans are like, oh yeah, I can't believe it. We're gonna get Trevor Lawrence. He's the guy. He's the generational. That's a new term, the generational talent.
Yeah.
And it's just like now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Zach Wilson may be better than Trevor Lawrence. You never know. And do you see these throws? And it's just like, how is he gaining momentum? He hasn't done anything in the last few months. Right. You know what I mean? He worked out. You know what I mean? In tights. Just like, what are we doing here? It's just like, that's why all season I'm like, stop getting so excited about tanking in football. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it's football. Tanking is the stupidest thing. It's like tanking in baseball. It's stupid. It doesn't do anything. It's just, you're all excited. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're psyched up about this guy. And it's just like, I'm over that crap. And it's like, in the NBA, you want to tank. Sure. You have the year where you have the pick and your team sucks and you trade your guys. And you say, you know what? We want to get Zion. You know what? We want to get Towns. You know what? This and that. But you know what? The Knicks never get those guys. But either way, it's the right move that year when you're in the opportunity to, and you have your pick to tank. And then because it's one guy could change your whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
The Nets beat the Knicks tonight. Nets sweep the series versus the team from Manhattan. Nets go 3-0. We haven't talked about this a little. I'll just touch on it for a second. I just hope James Harden's okay. It sounds like he will be, unless I've missed something in the last hour. And then Kevin Durant could make his debut, return, or whatever. It's not a debut. Wednesday versus the Pels. So we'll see.
Feels like a debut.
With KD. It does really feel like it. The last time the three guys played together was against the Warriors when it was the first game of their West Coast trip, which was
last year's All-Star game. Oh no, it wasn't even last. 2 years ago All-Star game. It's
been a while.
But real quick, my guy Connor Hughes, the Jets reporter for The Athletic, he tweeted out the Jets picks for the next 2 years. So you have this year they have 2 firsts, a second, 2 thirds, a fourth, 2 fifths, and 2 sixths. And next year they have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, fourth, 2 fifths, and 3 sixths. So they have a ton of picks over the next 2 years. If they don't get this done, we got another 10 years of irrelevancy. So anyway,
well, you got the Knicks. You got the Knicks now.
At least the Knicks have shown like a plan. Like, it might not work out here and there, and like Porzingis, becomes soft and gets hurt, and then they trade him, and then they take a step back, which might have been too forward. You got to take one back to take 2 forward, et cetera, et cetera. So at least like I can wrap my head around these plans that the Knicks have. Like the last plan they had, they got to those mellow years, and that was fun in the beginning. It sucked at the end. But like then they broke it down, and then they, you know what I mean? Like I can wrap my head around these plans. I get excited about it. The Jets is just the same crap over and over. They said, hey, let's hire an offensive coach. They didn't say, like, I didn't say hire any offensive coach, like hire Adam Gase, like hire somebody who's actually good at coaching. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I don't know. Anyway, I can talk about that crap all day. Let me stop.
All right. We've got a little trivia to end. We'll do a little trivia.
Him.
Even mad. What's that?
I said, I just got like legit mad talking
I know.
about it.
Calm down.
That's getting me angry.
Calm down. It's not even, you're not even upset at the Knicks loss.
No, I'm more angry at the Jets the last 10 years.
I know that really came out of you there, man. It's like I was like, all right, I should have started this with that to piss you off. All right, so we'll do the number game, but to make things, I'm just pulling it up on my phone to make things fair. I'll ask some numbers too.
Yeah, so there is no number. What episode are we? I forgot.
56.
We're episode 56. So there is no number. There is no number 56 on either the Knicks or the Nets. So Mike's gonna do a Knick one and have me guess, and I'll do a Nets one and have him guess.
All right. Well, I'll do 2 if you get this real fast. We'll do 2 if you get this real fast. We'll do another one because he's the only person to ever wear this number as a New York Knick.
Okay.
That's my first clue, and he guesses from that.
Baron Davis.
No, his number was 00.
Enes Kanter.
Thank you.
Enes Kanter.
Enes Kanter. Yep. He's the only one. You're good. All right.
You go.
All right. Go for me now. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Let's see. Let's make it hard. How about this? Hard, but I think you'll get it. Let's see. Okay. This is tough. This might be too hard. He was a number 5 in 1999 for the Nets. He only played 1 year from 98-99. He started a couple games, but he only played 15 overall that year.
Anthony Gill.
Nope.
That was just 98.
I'm like, who the hell is that?
98-99, only played.
He was a journeyman NBA player. Yeah, he was around the block.
Only played 15 games. So that was the year.
But started 8 games for the Nets that year.
I mean, that was the year they made the playoffs and lost. Was that the shortened season?
That was the Calipari year. They were I don't know. They were terrible. They were 16-34.
Okay,
so yeah,
okay. So that was the shortened season.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives me a point of reference so I can think of the year. That was the
So that's why it's so
Calipari year.
short.
They traded for Marbury in that year.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, they got Marbury. That's what they dealt for Marbury. Then, oh boy, this is tough. Number 5. I feel like I should know this though. Once you tell it to me, and I know Dolan's listening now because he's the biggest.
Dolan J.
The guy's the net nut. Who is it?
Well, let me give you one more clue because since you're a draft guy, you're like a draft nerd. It's crazy. So, 1991 draft, he was a 21st pick in the draft for the Jazz. He went to Providence.
Now Gomes was after. He was drafted after. He went to not God Sham God. That was later too. He went to God. I should know who this is. He went to Providence. Now I should know. Now I'm embarrassed. Who is it?
Eric Murdoch.
Oh, you know what? I didn't know that. I did not know that. I know the name is very familiar, but I got to be honest. That one, and also
I thought you would get that one.
Dolan's 3 years older than me, so that gives him a heads up. So that's like a 2002 question for me. I get very competitive.
Got it.
Because he was a Nets super fan.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, you got me on that. You want me to give you one more?
Yeah, give me one more. I did number 5 because today's the 5th day of the month, so I was trying to give something that had to do with something. So it's not just a random number.
There's a lot of people once you get to, certain
number. Yeah, like teens and 20s and 30s.
Now this is interesting. There was only one of this guy at this number. Fascinating. Okay, I'll take this word for it. Number 36.
Rasheed Wallace.
Yes. All right, 2 for 2. That's what it says. Yeah. The internet only number 36 on the Knicks.
Makes sense. I can't think of another 36. It's such a weird number too. Like he probably just took it because he just Rasheed Wallace. You know what I mean? It's just what he does.
I have a good number 41 for you.
All right, go ahead. That's a hard one.
2001 with the Knicks, way past his prime when he was with you.
2001.
Way past his prime, but was very good in the day.
Was he a center?
No, I would say he was probably the shooting guard, small forward, like a true combo of the two. He actually played after the Knicks. He played after the Knicks with the.
Oh, Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
There we go.
Look at this. Okay. You're better at this than me, I think.
I'm a numbers guy. I love the numbers thing. Like looking at the numbers and guessing and like what numbers look good on certain players. Like you can't be a big guy and be like number 7. Like, you know what I mean? You got to be like a big guy and be like number 30 in the 30s or or just like have a strong number. Number 1 is okay, but I don't know.
All right, I'll give you one more and then we're done.
Okay.
33. This has been Bad Weather Fans. Oh, stop it. You don't have to answer. Bad Weather Fans, episode 56 with Mike and Alex. Nets get the victory over the Knicks. Nets sweep the series. Knicks right now, a lot of Knicks fans would always tweet at Net fans, if the playoffs started now, it'd be Net Knicks. They didn't do it tonight. I'm not sure why.
No, I don't know why. What's funny? The player that stuck in my head, he never played for the Knicks. When you said number 41 was Eldon Campbell for some reason. I'm just like, Eldon Campbell. I'm like, why am I thinking of that? Because it's like the only 41 that like my brain could just like snapped. And I was like, Eldon Campbell, 41.
I could see that. Eldon Campbell had a nice career.
But he was like Mr. 41. Like who was like the 41 that you could think of that was like Glenn Rice? Yeah.
That was probably it. Eldon Campbell. Yeah. Random.
There we go.
Love it. The Eldon Campbell episode. Fantastic.
Yeah, there we go. And Sam Darnold.
Darnold's gone. He's with the Panthers. All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
Nets beat the Knicks. Yeah, Nets beat the Knicks. Mets blow it versus deGrom. First game of the season. Who cares? I'll talk over Mike so we don't ever end the show. But okay, have a good one.
I just wanted to say, check us out on YouTube. 5-star rating. And we'll see you next time we do a Net Nick podcast after a Net Nick game. It'll be the first round of the NBA playoffs. And I truly believe that's going to happen.
Oh, man. I hope so.
I don't. All right.
No, I don't hope so. Not if it's like this. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the Nets play better with Durant, Harden.
And you would think they would play better if they had Durant and Harden healthy. You would think that would be.
That will keep going. As this podcast started, my biggest takeaway from the Nets, which I was really happy about, was the energy that they brought off the bench and the starters, and they outworked the Knicks. And the other part was they were down 6 with about 3 minutes left in the third. Kyrie came out of the game, and the Nets extended the lead. I thought that was critical in the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
All right, we're done.
I don't have anything to add. Yeah.
Go back. Rewind if you want to hear Alex upset. It's Bad Weather Fans, episode 56. See you later, Alex.
Bye.